So thank you again for joining us to talk about this amazing trip. This is really exciting for next year. For those of you who don't know us, who haven't worked with us before, we are a little different. Expedia Wine Club Cruises, we are an independent office that we focus on wine cruises. And many of the consultants that those of you who have worked with know that our consultants are very full service, all hands on. They're the elite team that knows so much, and we are very, very proud of them. So just want to let you know, we are not a call center. You're going to get to know your consultant really well. And while I have you here, just want to remind you, please, that if you have questions along the way, go ahead and type them into the chat box, because we have someone monitoring the chat box, and then we're going to open it up and we'll all come back on the screen and answer any questions that you might have. Of course, we've already said hello, kind of, but just to introduce your hosts for this evening, my name is KK, and I'm the Vice President of Sales for Expedia Wine Club Cruises, and I'm so excited about my job. I get to talk about travel and drink wine. I don't know about you, but it's kind of cool, and it's a little bit of what we're going to do tonight, so kind of fun. But of course, the man of the hour, we have our good friend here, Judd. You want to pop back up on the screen and say hello, Judd?
Sure. Hi.
There you are.
I don't even recognize myself without my glasses on, but I was saying if I put them on, that I'm too close, and it's just that weird distance I'm having right now. But hi, I'm very happy to be here. It is me, even without the signature glasses at the moment. And I'm really excited to be here tonight, to be thinking about the cruise next year, to be sipping wine, to meet new people, see old friends. And I mean, can we just take a moment now? I
think you should. I think you should talk about the Chardonnay for 2 minutes and get us started drinking, so that we can drink as we enjoy the talk about the program.
Okay, and I'll try to take even maybe one extra minute quickly to say, for those of you who don't know who we are, we're a very small family winery. We're located here in Napa Valley, where I'm sitting right now, and my mother, Bunny, who is on here, is just a couple miles away from where I'm sitting in her cozy place. But we have been making wine, this is our family now, for more than 40 years in Napa Valley, for the past 32 as Judd's Hill. If you're familiar with Napa Valley, we're at the south end, right on Silverado Trail. In fact, if you're in the town of Napa itself and you head north on Silverado Trail, which is one of the two north-south roads of Napa Valley, we're the first winery you come to. We pride ourselves on not only fine wine, but great hospitality as well. I guess I should be tooting my horn. It always feels uncomfortable to brag. It sounds like bragging, but I'm just want to let you know that if you come and visit, you're going to have a good time. We've won the #1 thing to do in Napa Valley on TripAdvisor, the Great Wine Capital's Innovative Tourism Award, which is a worldwide thing. Point is, we like to show people a good time with wine, and that extends to other places. So if you come to the winery, we'll show you a good time, but also if you come along on our cruise, that extends there too. So I do promise a memorable and fun time if you come along with us. Chardonnay, this is our 2018 Reserve Los Carneros. I don't have the numbers with me. We don't make a whole lot of this. It's probably about 100 cases or so. Varies from year to year, but it hovers around there. So not a whole lot. We only make about 3,000 cases of wine total per year through all varieties. So not one of those varieties is like a large amount. So that's kind of fun. We make a lot of fun things. So this is from a vineyard in Carneros, which is the south end of Napa County, straddles Sonoma County, actually. A beautiful area if you drive through. In fact, if you go from our place over to where Ken and Gail live, you drive right through this area. It butts up against the north part of San Francisco Bay, which is called San Pablo Bay. And it's about as close to the growing conditions and soil conditions of Burgundy that you get around here. So those Burgundian varieties like Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, love it there. You get those cool bay breezes just come right off the water, which allows for some nice foggy mornings, which these varieties really love. It warms up during the day, which they love. It's just like the perfect place to grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir here in Northern California. This particular one, it's 100% Chardonnay. It's seen minimal oak, so it's not one of these really big oaky Chardonnays. There's a touch of new oak. And if you're not familiar, oak barrels are kind of like tea bags. So the more you use them, the less flavor you get out of them. So a lot of these big oaky Chardonnays, wineries that are famous for those, they'll use new barrels every year. Well, we like a little more subtle effect and really let the fruit be the main star of the show. I mean, it's Napa Valley. We grow the best fruit in the world, I'll say. So why not let that be the star? So we actually get barrels from other wineries that are famous for their big oaky Chardonnays. They use their barrels once for about 9 months to a year. Then we'll get them, and there's still a little bit of flavor left of that oak, but it still allows the wine to soften over time, but not take on the big woody flavor. So you get more of the hint of that and let the Chardonnay grape do its thing. This is our 2018 Los Carneros Napa Valley Chardonnay. If you have other questions about it, you can ask me a little later. I don't want to drone on and on and on. Maybe it's too late for that. Or you can put the questions in the chat, and I'll be happy to talk to you about it. But I'm kind of anxious to hear about what we're going to do in April.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much. I hope you are all sipping and savoring as we move forward. We have lots of opportunities to put our wine cruises on just about any cruise line. But we choose for our rivers, we choose AMA waterways. And I thought maybe it would be a great idea to just share with you the quick top 10 reasons why we feel that AMA waterways is perfect for this. Number one, or actually I should say, I'm starting with number 10. Number 10 is this wonderful, authentic local entertainment that is brought on board. So you're going to get a true flavor of the entertainment from whatever region you're in. And in this case, on the Danube, there is such a variety because we're going through some of these fantastic musical capitals of Europe. And of course, we're going to have, for those who wish, you can work out if you'd like. There's a wonderful fitness instructor on board. They do morning yoga out on the deck. There's some great opportunities. You'll see something about bicycles and such later, but it's a nice thing to have on board. There's complimentary Wi-Fi and the AMA app. And what the AMA app is, it's something on the phone that you can use to send your friends postcards of the pictures that you take. This, for example, is one of the lounges on board where you can sit and enjoy the fire in the evening, sipping, of course, a glass of Judd Hill wine. The number 7 reason is because this particular ship features twin balconies. This is a first in the industry. You're going to notice on the picture here that you can see on one side, there's some chairs and a table outside. So there's a door, you can step out, and that's what it's called, a step out balcony. And then of course, there's a chair inside with a little table in front, and that one is called a French balcony. Again, the slider is still open, so you get that fresh air in, but you have that great opportunity to have a combination in the twin balcony staterooms. This is a signature suite on the twin balcony suite. So you'll see that there's the bedroom over in one area by the step out balcony, and again, the French balcony combination. Lots of great room. Of course, we are very fortunate and very important. Of course, when we're having great wines, we want to make sure that we have great cuisine. So you're going to have the experience of wonderful cuisine on board. Just to give you an idea, they source so much of their food locally in those markets. There's an integrity to the quality of the cuisine that they pick up. You can actually watch as the chefs go into the market. And I know Judd has some stories where he goes even into markets and finds things along the way. It is so much fun, but you know that all the ingredients are very fresh and of the highest quality. AMA Waterways was invited, to become part of La Chaîne de Retisseurs. And this is an organization that you can't ask to be invited to, you have to be invited. And as a result, they're one of the very few cruise lines afloat, especially on the rivers, that is a member. So you're going to see, for example, this is a sample of the dinner, La Chaîne de Retisseurs dinner that they feature on board. Lots of wonderful little small bites. many awards for the cuisine throughout. And of course, this cruise line features a specialty dining venue called the Chef's Table. This particular one has the round tables featured. I know in Judd's pictures later, we're going to see what one of the longer tables looks like. One of the greatest features, in my opinion, is the included shore excursions. This means that every single day, you're going to have complimentary included shore excursions, at least 1 to 2 a day. Really, you can take as many as you want. It's just a matter of time that allows. They always have one in the morning. And then, of course, there's again in the afternoon. Again, one of the greatest features that very few people really know about is, well, 2 features really. One is the fluidity, meaning that let's say that I take an excursion today and I do a lot of walking and tomorrow I don't feel like walking so much. I can actually go down and change it on a whim the next morning. So it's not one of those things like on a big ship where you have to choose and purchase in advance and it's very rigid and you can't change it. It's extremely fluid and a lot of fun. The other favorite thing I wanted to mention is the fact that there are 3 types of walking tours every day. So imagine that there is now the fast walkers, right? They're called the active walkers, people who like to climb the hill, climb to the top of the mountain, lots of stairs. They're the average walkers that qualifies for most of us at a gentle average pace. And then there's something called gentle walkers. So for those who have any mobility issues, or maybe, a lot of photographers take the gentle walkers just because it's at a slower pace and everyone can take their time. By splitting everybody up into these 3 walking groups, what happens is that you then know that you're never being rushed to try to keep up with someone, but you're also not being pushed. So this is a great feature for everyone. Of course, they also feature lots of bike tours. You'll see the picture there. And again, I know that we'll see another picture when we get to Judd's personal pictures. These are some of the highest rated ships on the rivers. As a matter of fact, of the Berlitz top 20, 10 of those top slots all went to AMA Waterways. So this is really explains the fact that they just lead in all ways, all of the river cruises. And yet it's so personal because it's a family owned and operated cruise line. You'll see there, there's Rudy and Christine and Gary, and they've all been there from the beginning. They helped structure this company, build this company, and very, very much hands-on every single day. This is important because you can tell down to the little tiny touches, some of the surprises that you'll experience on board that I won't even tell you about are all because they are personally involved. It's a great experience. And of course, the crew. Exceptional is a perfect word. They are friendly, they're engaging. We've had so much fun. I'm sure many of you who have taken the cruises can talk about your crew members who made a difference in your trip. It's truly exceptional. And of course, AMA means love. AMA Waterways, the love of the rivers. It truly is. Everything they do is from the heart, just as you see here. So the world, of course, awaits us as we want to take an adventure down the Danube River. We're going to be sailing from Budapest to Wilshofen. That's Hungary to Germany. And I thought maybe I'd take a quick journey along the way. So this is a photo journey, as we like to say. This here is Budapest. This is the Parliament building. And in the evening of the first night, they do something called an illuminations cruise. So if you can imagine that when all the lights come up on the bridges and all the beautiful structures along the way, they're going to do a cruise where you get to see them all lit up. It's simply spectacular. It is brilliant. We go on to Bratislava. This here is Bratislava, the castle, where you can have an opportunity to go up. But one of my favorite things in Bratislava is to look at all the unique statues. There are these bronze statues everywhere throughout the city. They randomly pop up. And so, for example, you'll see the one leaning on the fence, the bench. But one of my favorites of all time is the guy poking up from the street. So literally that's the street. And the statue is poking up from the street from one down behind a manhole, Then we're off to Vienna. This is the State Opera House. And again, in the evening, it is extremely lovely to see. And you can do that when you attend one of the concerts. So can you imagine now going to a Strauss or a Mozart concert in Vienna. I don't know about you, but I found that the music just, it sounded better. It came to life. It was simply brilliant. I absolutely loved this. As a matter of fact, on my last trip there, we found that rather than taking the motor coach back, there was an opportunity to take a horse and carriage through Vienna in the evening back to the ship. It was so much fun. This is Salzburg. So actually you're going to go into Linz, and from Linz you have the opportunity to take a tour into Salzburg. It's one of those great cities that you can see along the way. Of course, you're going to have Mozart influences, but you're also going to have this wonderful opportunity to take in the sights and sounds of the Sound of Music. So all the locations that were filmed there. As a matter of fact, my personal picture is there in the middle. You can see me standing on the steps. And I have to tell you a funny story. I stood there, and having played Maria in the musicals as a young person, I couldn't help but want to sing. So I just broke out into song. The funniest part is you can't really see it too well, but in the picture, the people, the locals in the background, they just kept walking by like it was nothing, because unfortunately, I don't think I was alone. I think it's a pretty common thing that people do this, but it's a lot of fun. One of those memorable opportunities. Probably my favorite port of call on this entire cruise is actually called Wiesenkirchen, but it's for the town of Dürnstein. And this picture, if you can imagine, we're standing up at the top. This is the castle, the Dürnstein Castle, where Richard the Lionheart was held captive. You can choose, the active walkers can actually choose to hike all the way up the hill to this and have this spectacular view over the Wachau Valley. This is the valley where it's a wine valley, so you're going to see the vineyards stretching up on the mountainside. You're going to have an opportunity. There's a little tiny town directly down below this hill where they make apricot brandy and apricot liqueurs, and you can go in there and you can sample them. I've been told that it makes all things better to taste that along the way. And then of course, from that same port, you have the opportunity to visit the Abbey in Melk. And I will tell you that the artwork, the opulence, it's just an outstanding experience to go. It's a must do to visit this abbey. As a matter of fact, it's still a working abbey, and there's even an active school there. So it's really kind of fun to see it in motion and quite beautiful. And then of course, this is an iconic and historic place. This is Passau. And what makes Passau so special? Well, lots of things. I mean, you're going to see the castle up there on the top. Active walkers, you can actually hike up to the top of that castle, but you can also, for the gentle walkers, you can actually take the van around and it'll take you to the top, and then you can just do the sightseeing. And as you're looking down from that castle, you're going to see that this is where the three rivers, the confluence of the three rivers, right? We have the Black Ilz, the Blue Danube, and the Green Inn rivers that all come together. And notice how the bow, the nose of the ship, is right there at the confluence. You would think that maybe only from way up here in this obviously drone taking a picture from way up above would be the only place you could see it. But it is so clear where the rivers meet that you can stand there and look over the bow and actually see them literally come up together to one another. It's really spectacular and kind of fun. So when you're standing up there on that castle, you get a different perspective. The town there is lovely to walk through as well. So as you can see, in every single one of these ports of call, there's lots of different opportunities, lots of things to do and see. And of course, I haven't even mentioned along the way all the culinary wonder when I think of the Sachertorte or the Wiener Schnitzel. All of these foods are famous from this region. And of course, yum, they're going to be served on board, as well as when you're ashore, you can have your tidbits. But you know, there's nothing quite like combining the wonderful experiences and the excursions that we're going to do with the wines that you're going to experience. So what I'd love to do is maybe invite Judd to come back and talk a little bit about your experience with the wine program on board and some of the wine experiences. Oh, and look, who do we have there?
This is Ruby.
Oh, hi, Ruby.
We're at home, so you're getting Judd at home.
I love that. Oh, that's wonderful. Welcome, Ruby. So glad you're here with the program. But Judd, do you want to maybe talk a little bit about the wine program that we're going to have on board?
Absolutely. I'm enthusiastic and excited and cannot wait for it. if you're a wine lover, which I would imagine you are, if you're here, you're going to love this. Not only you get the fabulous cruise that KK just outlined, but we're going to enjoy quite a bit of fine Napa Valley wine in Europe. There'll be chances to try local wine as well, but when you're on board, we'll be focusing on the wines that my family makes here. Several great opportunities to enjoy it. Starting with right off the bat, there's going to be a welcome aboard reception that will include some of our wines, get a chance to meet each other, meet the crew. In fact, in those slides, I saw 2 captains, and we've been under their command of each of them. That was kind of fun to see some familiar faces. Great folks. There will be a couple of fun and intriguing, entertaining seminars. That name seminar, I don't know, it doesn't always evoke like entertainment, but I try to make them very entertaining. We'll talk about wine and aspects of the wine business, and drink along while we're enjoying each other's company and hearing me talk a little bit. And there will be a couple of wine dinners, and there's a photo of one right there. That is in Bordeaux. That was a few years back, having a wonderful time aboard AMA Waterways. And this is, okay, here is a picture of one of the things that's become a tradition. And you might be like, what are these people doing? They look very intent. So it's just sprouted organically. It seemed like a fun thing to do a few years ago, and it's become a tradition where I will scour local markets for the first few days, usually where we embark from, and then maybe the first couple of days where we stop and find potato chips that come in flavors that we're not used to having here in the US. And I think, eating and tasting is such a part of cultural discovery and getting a, no pun intended, but flavor of local, culture that, potato chips, snacks are huge part of culture. So we have a little potato chip party, and we enjoyed trying some unusual flavors and even talking about maybe which of our wines folks like to have with them. This is the convening of the post-dinner crew. This was on the Seine River. And actually, I think I see Gail and Ken in there. And pretty much anytime after dinner, anybody who wants to hang out a little bit longer, I'll lead them upstairs. Sometimes they lead me, and we hang out for nightcaps, usually a little more wine, maybe a little snifter or something. Oftentimes I or someone generous has picked up something along the way that's local. Up in Normandy, it might have been some cider or some Calvados, and we sit up there, watch the night scenery float by, and enjoy the company. This is the kitchen table, the chef's table that KK talked about. I think it's almost cropped out, but at the top of the photo there, you can see the glass of the kitchen. We can actually watch the chef churn out these fabulous meals that were served right there, basically in the kitchen. This is a fun part of being on AMA Waterways. And the food in general is absolutely astoundingly good. She was not kidding. I look forward to every meal when we're aboard one of the AMA Waterways cruises. And here's a little collage, it looks like. So starting there in the upper left, okay, that's me just showing off some of the wines we're going to enjoy for the evening. To the right is my lovely wife, Holly, showcasing a big bottle of something. We like to bring some surprises along the way, and sometimes that is a big bottle of an older vintage, which is always fun to try. So that's what that is. There's a couple pictures of me there with Chef, and this was on our last trip along the Seine River, and the bottom left one is a champagne and oyster party. After the day's excursion, we all came back to the boat, and there were oysters and champagne just laid out however much you wanted. It was incredible. It was lavish. It was delicious. It was super fun. And then there is my older daughter, Tallulah, and my wife, Holly, enjoying one of the bicycle excursions. Yeah. Oh, Ruby's giving me the look. Why isn't that her? Well, you came with me, and I think we went to a distillery that day, and they went bike riding. um, um, so it's great. There's bikes there they can unload and set you up with, and give you directions or lead you. In fact, on the way back to one of our excursions, it started raining. We were coming back from Monet's garden, and it was cold, and one of my kids, I'm not going to name names, it was just a little too much, and our guide actually rode her bike back too while she caught a ride in a car. So he actually rode two bikes back to the ship. They're very accommodating, they're very hospitable. It's incredible the lengths they go to keep you safe and happy. Okay, this slide lets me know it's time to drink a little Pinot Noir. Maybe you got a head start on me, maybe you're saving it for another time, but if you'd like to drink a little Pinot Noir, now's a good time. This is our 2018 Carneros Reserve. So actually comes from the same vineyard that the Chardonnay comes from, right there in the Carneros region, which again is very similar to Burgundy in its geography and terroir. It is 100% Pinot Noir. It grows right next to the Chardonnay. And we really like, again, to let the fruit do its thing. This wine sees no new oak. So it's all been in either neutral oak, that is barrels that have been used enough times that they really don't impart any flavor, but they just allow the wine to soften and age. And that lets us preserve the very delicate subtleties that Pinot Noir is famous for. So without having that dominant oak flavor, we can really showcase the soft, delicious fruit that we get out of that vineyard. There's some of the tasting notes you can see there, but I prefer to let you come up with your own impressions. It's a very versatile wine. I'm sure we'll be drinking some Pinot Noir on our cruise. It goes with almost anything, which makes it great for a Thanksgiving table as well. One of my favorites, actually, people ask me what my favorite is. I don't have an answer, and I've got a long story about context, which I won't get into right now, but come on the cruise. We'll sit upstairs after dinner, have a little wine and brandy, and I'll tell you my story about that. But what I will say is right around now, this is what I'm drinking more of at home, this 2018 Carneros Pinot. It's just a real people pleaser. It's a Finkel pleaser. We're enjoying it, our family, very much. So if you have questions about that, if you have questions about any of our wines, visiting the winery, coming on this cruise, let me know. Well, the cruise specifically, let KK know. But wine-wise, we're here for you, and I'll look forward to talking. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, I know I'm excited, and I have been sipping the wine, and it is amazing. So yes, it's perfect for this time of year. It's perfect for, I think, probably any time. But hey, we'd like to open this up and see if there are any questions. So I think what we'll do is, first of all, I want to encourage you, if you have never traveled with us before, to quickly jot down the number that you see there, and that way you can call us afterwards. But in the meantime, I'm going to stop the share and encourage you to go ahead and turn on your cameras if you'd like, so that we can see you. And then we're going to address some of the questions that are already there for us.
And I can personally address one I just saw come up. I think it was from Deanna, asked if kids are allowed. The answer is yes, kids are allowed. I bring my kids on all of these. I will say they're not specifically tailored for kids. As far as the activities and excursions, they're not like, the kids will love this. If your kids enjoy just kind of regular people stuff and don't need to be catered to as kids, as far as the excursions go and activities on the boat, they'll love it. The kitchen, of course, is pretty good about accommodating. Luckily, my kids are pretty okay with what's already there, but then there's some staples they serve every night that are more like, less like local flavor and more just like standard, what they think Americans like. And it's always very good. It'd be like a steak, and so I'm sure there's always like a burger or something, and so like a chicken, grilled chicken or a roasted chicken. My kids love it. They look forward to it. It's really a lot of fun. I would just say that it's just to repeat again, it's not tailored towards kids, but if your kids like adventuring, they'll love it.
You're certainly welcome.
Mhm.
Some of the other question has to do with, someone asked earlier if there are opportunities to extend. So yes, there are. So you could do a pre-Budapest, or you could explore Prague at the other end, or Munich. So there are some pre and post opportunities that are available for you. And let's see, it says Jack has a comment about the AMA experience. Where is Jack?
Yeah, hi, KK.
Hey, Jack.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment because I have a lot of friends who are sort of like professional cruisers, and they really enjoy going on cruises and things. And it may seem obvious from what you've shown so far, but I just wanted to highlight a big difference with AMA relative to other cruises. And AMA is a very small boat. They have small boats. There may only be about 150 people on the boat, and maybe almost as much crew, but it's a very different cruise experience from what others often do, where you're on these 3,000 to 5,000 person big ships. In fact, in your background picture there, KK, there's a pretty large boat that may be 1,000 or 2,000. But so the thing about AMA that I really like is it's a very intimate cruise experience. And I've had other friends say, oh, they don't have as much entertainment, or there's not so many things to do. And I'm like, well, they have plenty to do. And for me, it's actually just the right balance. I don't want to be on a floating hotel. I'd rather be, on a nice intimate cruise, with a bunch of people we know, and on a small boat.
I think that's so well said. And I think to your point, someone who said to me, well, there's not a lot of entertainment. I said, truthfully, there is so much more entertainment. It's just of a different sort, and a lot of it's social. That means that we get a chance to sit around and talk to one another. And I love that picture on the top deck. That's one of my favorite places to just go and sit and have a glass of wine. And of course, on a wine cruise, you're with like-minded friends, and many of you probably didn't know one another until you met on a cruise, right? So I'm sure Gail and Marie, I was going to say, I could point like this because you're in different boxes in different places, but I'd be pointing the wrong way. But that's awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. That's a really good point. Deanna, you're asking, do our Judd Hill guests occupy the entire boat, or will they be sharing with other random people? So we do have some random people on board. But what's really funny about that is that they start by being random. And then I love how we always hear the comments saying, who is that that's having all that fun over there? Who are those people? Can we go with them next time? So yes, the truth is that there will be, this is a group within the ship. So there will be some random people. And of course you can choose, they won't be invited to any of the exclusive events, but you will definitely have the opportunity to get to know some of them on the excursions. And you can of course make them jealous for not being part of your group. Hey, Judd.
I've got a question about that, because there's something actually I'm not sure of. On a couple of the cruises we've done with you that have been a little bigger, like on Alaska, that was certainly true. People were like, who are those people and why are they having all that fun? But on the previous AMA, it seems like the whole group, whether they knew who I was before they signed up and they just said, oh, this looks like fun, they're invited, they're part of everything. Like if I give a wine talk, everybody on the boat is part. Is that going to be true on this? That's not true on this one.
No. So
Okay.
I'm excited to say
I wasn't sure.
This is a private group, and this
got
allows us to be, this kind of allows you to do a little bit more with the wine program. I think we find that sometimes with it's called a celebration of wine, it's a little bit more restrictive on what we can do. And AMA sets the stage for how and when the wine events happen. So this allows us to have more events, and they're exclusive to you. So you can chat up a storm. And of course, what's going to happen is, those random people are going to want to be less random after a little while. But,
there's no doubt. And I'm sure you told me that. And we just got out of harvest and my brain is scattered, but that is 100% true. When we have been a private group, it's like everybody on the boat just becomes friends, and we've received visitors after cruises for like the next year of people we've met on the boat that weren't necessarily on our, in our group, but we, everybody becomes friendly and they want to see what we're up to. And it's really nice. It's a nice way to hang.
It is. And let's see, Gail, you were asking how many passengers aboard. Technically, the ship can accommodate 162. We are capping the number of guests on board at the moment. I do believe we're actually down to 140 something. And that's just because there are a certain number of cabins that throughout the next year are going to be held. And that's just for safety in the event of any quarantine necessities. We don't expect them. We're happy to not use them, but they're going to be held there just to make everybody feel better. And of course, I want to tell you all, we're excited because right now we have a whole ship of wine cruisers enjoying Europe at the moment. We've actually had groups going since July, and they are going brilliantly. They're having a spectacular time over in Europe. So this, I think, is always good to know, just because, we hear random stuff all the time, but depending on where you listen, the news you get. So the good news is everyone's having a blast. Maybe we have to do a little bit more uploading and downloading before we go, but it's all good. And everyone on the ship, both crew and passengers, all vaccinated. So it gives a kind of comfort there. I could tell that something moved here. Let me see if I missed any other questions. I don't think so. Are there any other questions that you might have? I know some of you have cruised before, but some of you have not. No? I think it's, to the testament of everything that you've seen. Marie, I can see that you have a question, but I was just going to say, to the testament that everything you've seen is really how it is. While some of the photos seem staged, I can promise you, it's really what you see is what you get. It's pretty cool. Marie, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about the ship or the boat that we're taking for this cruise. What is it, a new one, a medium, an old? Or it looks kind of new. I've never seen rooms like that.
I know. So actually, she was launched originally in 2014, but she has been completely redone since. And one of the things that AMA did was they had the opportunity during the pandemic, because the ships had to be taken up out of the water. So they took the opportunity to refresh the ships. And you're right, she looks lovely. And very contemporary. They managed to do some really cool things with all the soft furnishings throughout the ship. They even did some, because of social distancing, they did some moving of things around in the dining room. So yeah, she's going to feel much newer than she is because of her complete refresh, but technically 2014. Yeah, and again, I think because we've done the Seine and Bordeaux in the rivers in France, the ships are smaller. And so they accommodate 148 guests to begin with. These are just a little bit larger. Technically, they can carry 162. But this is where AMA really shines with those twin balconies. They're really quite brilliant. Very spacious. I see that Ken has a question. Hi, Ken.
Hi. Well, first of all, I'll just say that I'm also KK, Ken
Oh,
Kovitz.
hey, one to another. I like it.
I'm so happy my parents didn't give me the middle name of Kevin. That would have been unfortunate.
Phew.
KK. But I wanted to ask, maybe this is a little individualized, but we were thinking at the end when we disembark in Vilshofen, is that how you say it? That we could just go to Prague with the group and then go off on our own. Is that an option?
So you can. So you can choose to either take the post package with AMA Waterways. And for those of you, I think you're past passengers, you know that when you take the post package with AMA, the cruise manager from the ship actually goes along with you and continues on that journey. Or the other option is that we do have a transfer service that we use that we could get you to Prague, and then you could do a more independent stay. So either way is perfectly okay, and we're happy to do that. Prague is one of those amazing cities, steeped in history. I mean, you can just stand there and stare at the astronomical clock. You can go to the old town. Yes, abundance of history, lots to see. So highly encourage a visit to Prague Post.
We heard about the donuts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's true. He said about the donuts. You didn't hear about the donuts? No. Oh, well, okay. I'm not saying a word about the donuts, but yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, actually, Sally, I think, told us about that.
I saw another hand raise up.
Yeah.
Was it Jack?
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of the transfer service, because this is basically a point-to-point cruise, I assume, you fly into your first, yeah, and that's easy enough. But at the end of the cruise, are there any arrangements for transfer to any particular airports? And is there a recommendation as to where you should fly out of?
Absolutely. So you'll be flying home from Munich if you don't go on to Prague. If you do go on to Prague, you'll be able to fly directly from Prague home. But the closest airport to Wilshofen is Munich. And there are timed transfers that go to the airport because it is a bit of a distance. But we will help you. If you do Amas Air, then the transfer is included. If you do independent air, we just help you to purchase the transfer so that it's taken care of for you. Technically, there is a combination that you could go to a train and connect, but I can promise you that the easiest way, pick up the AMA transfer. It's worth it. It's an easy one. Yes, but Munich it is. And I see Deanna had to pop off because she's going to the kids' soccer game. All right, hope that they win. I like that. All right, other questions? These are good ones. Lisa, you have a question.
Well, it's not a question. It's more of a comment that when Marie, said I should check this out, and I saw that part of it was going to Passau. I just want to say that when I was like maybe 14 or 15 years old, I was part of a youth choir. And we gave one of our concerts in Passau, and it was absolutely magical. And I'm a little afraid to go back because maybe it'll ruin my magical memory of it. But we went up to the castle and the river, and it was just beautiful.
So having grown up in Europe, there are many places that you're right that I've gone back to that I thought, I don't even recognize this. Passau is not one of those. One of the things that's so cool is those little cobblestone streets are just as little cobblestone streets as they were before. And the hike up to the same stairs that people 100 years ago went up to get to that castle are still those stairs. And that's why it's used for the active walkers only. But it is such a magical place. And I am so excited for you because that would be super cool if you could remember exactly where you were and you could take a picture like I did about their singing. That would be a fun one. Oh, that's very cool. Oh, thank you for sharing that. I noticed that someone asked about single accommodations, and we do have, this ship does not have rooms designated for solo travelers, but we do have solo pricing. So if you are interested in a room to yourself, by all means, we have special pricing for solo travelers. And of course, if you're looking to share, let us know that too, because we've often found that, especially within a wine club, sometimes there are folks who want to share with other wine club members, and we're happy to share your contact with your permission with others. But absolutely, solo options are available. Yeah, great questions. Judd, I see your hand.
Oh, Ruby just said she'd love it if there were some other kids coming. So I was asking, I think she might have left for the kids game, but if any other kids are coming, bring them along, encourage.
I know my son, for all the trips that he went on, oftentimes he was the only child on board. And he always just said, oh, I just wish there was at least one other. So I get that. I understand. Yeah, but it's true. You won't find a lot of children on this ship. Other questions? You guys are so great. You know everything. Been there and done that. I love it. Yay. All right. Well, I don't want to belabor you to sit there and as we all just look at one another, but I want to encourage you again, if you have questions, we are happy to answer them. Yes, I saw James hold up his glass. I just encourage you all to raise your glass to one another. Good friends, good times, good travels all together, and cheers, everyone.
And thank you very much for joining this evening. I'm very happy to talk about all this, and thanks to KK and James for putting this all together, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope everybody will join in. That much I can guarantee. It'll be a good time.
That it will. Any questions, we'll be happy to answer them for you. And I encourage you all, just give a wave goodbye. It's great seeing you all. Nice seeing you in person. Nice to have those faces with names recognition. And we hope that you can all get together for a send off. I heard that there's something about a tiki bar in Budapest before cruise. I've heard about that, so Judd will share later. Well, thank you everyone for joining us. Have a great evening. And again,
Thank you.
cheers.
All right.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.